Good morning, Nick Dogle, North State Law. Today we're going to be discussing dental licenses in the great state of North Carolina. Dental practices have been around even before the time of Paul Revere when he moonlighted as a dentist. He was a silversmith that also did practice dentistry on the side. Back then, he didn't have to be licensed as a dentist. Around the beginning part of 20th century, 1930s, 35, North Carolina General Assembly enacted statutes creating the North Carolina Dental Board, which regulates issues and regulates the dental licenses in North Carolina. Not only do dentists themselves have to be licensed, but dental hygienists also have to be licensed in North Carolina. Today we're going to be discussing just a few major things that dentists and dental hygienists should be aware of in their practice of dentistry. This is not a comprehensive list of things to be aware of. This is just some major points. First one being is if you're going to be doing some sort of procedure with a patient, make sure you have their informed consent. Now, what does informed consent mean? Is it just telling them about what you're about to do, or is it something else? Basically what it is you are telling them exactly the procedure that you're going to be doing, why you're going to be doing it, how long it's going to take, any after effects, basically anything that the patient would need to know to be fully informed of what you're about to do. And you need to get their consent. I always recommend written consent for obvious reasons. One of the other main things to be aware of is sterilization. That is more important now more than ever. Obviously, not only does the equipment need to be sterilized, but all instruments need to be sterilized as well. Make sure that you and your staff wear gloves. This is all pretty obvious stuff. One thing that might not be obvious is make sure you have written policies and procedures on sterilization. Go by the American Dental Association's guidelines for sterilization. The Dental Board does not have specific guidelines. They refer to the American Dental Association for their guidelines for sterilization of equipment, instruments, etc. So most dentists, if not all dentists, are members of the ADA. If you are, then go ahead and make sure you familiarize yourself with those sterilization guidelines. And follow them to a T. Incorporate them into your daily practice, your daily routine. Put them in your guidelines and your written policies and procedures, and most importantly, make sure all your staff is aware and follows those as well. Another thing to be aware of is in regards to the anesthesia. A lot of times dentists, depending on their practice area, if they're doing some sort of oral surgery, they'll need to make sure they knock the patient out, and that can be done by anesthesia. When you're dealing with anesthesia, you're required to keep a proper log of where it's stored, how it's stored, make sure it's stored properly. Make sure you keep track of how much and which anesthesia you have, where it's located. Obviously, keep it in a secure place where somebody can't just break into a dental office and take stuff. Make sure it's under lock and key and it's not readily accessible to anybody that comes in there. You're also required to have written emergency protocols and patient discharge protocols in regards to the anesthesia as well. In that same vein, you'll need to have at least two basic life support certified auxiliaries. Basic life support is going to be somebody that is familiar with basic life support, CPR, other things like that, tracking vitals, what to do in that particular situation, kind of basic stuff. Obviously, they're not going to be required to be a doctor or anything along those lines, but the thought process is if somebody is starting to have some problems under anesthesia, you want to get them basic care first, so when an ambulance shows up, the paramedics can take over and then get them to the hospital. So make sure that you have at least two people that are BLS certified auxiliaries on staff when you're performing something that requires anesthesia for a patient. The records of that will need to be kept for 10 years. So records meaning which includes a patient vital logs as well as when was the anesthesia used, what type of anesthesia, for what it was used, the amounts, things of that nature. That's got to be kept for 10 years. So be aware of that as well. Excuse me. That's going to be it as far as just this short explanation of the major things that dentists should be aware of in licensing in North Carolina. If there's any questions, or if you want to find further information about requirements for dentistry in North Carolina, please feel free to go on my website. It's www.northstatelawfirm.com. You can also email me at nick@northstatelawfirm.com, or you can even give me a call or text 919-521-8810. Everybody have a great day. Stay safe out there. Bye-bye.